Appreciate the opportunity to be here today. My name is James Jensen. As mentioned, I'm with the Office of Indian Energy, and I support our technical assistance program. I'm one of 3 individuals, permanent staff, who kind of administer that technical assistance program. Mike Stevenson is the lead of that program. Just real briefly on me, I have roughly 20 years of experience working in Indian country on energy-related matters, mostly solar, PV, but earlier in my career I did significant wind development and education and outreach, and also some combined heat and power efforts. Specifically, prior to joining the Office of Indian Energy, I worked for Southern Ute Alternative Energy, which was a for-profit company owned by the Southern Ute Indian tribe, kind of in your neck of the woods down there, just on the border with New Mexico and Colorado. There I did technical due diligence on their clean energy investments and technology investments. And then prior to that, I worked for the Alaska Energy Authority, where I focused on wind energy development and wind energy resource assessments. As many of you probably know, rural Alaska is filled with Alaska Native villages, and many of those villages have high cost electricity. And so it was a very interesting job helping to integrate renewables into those diesel microgrids. I hold a bachelor's degree in both meteorology and in chemical engineering. Next slide, please. Quickly, the Office of Indian Energy, just a little background on it. We were authorized by the Energy Policy Act of 2005 and stood up in 2011. And the goal of our office, or the mission of our office, is to promote Indian energy development, efficiency and use, reduce and stabilize energy costs, and enhance and strengthen Indian tribal energy and economic infrastructure. And lastly, bring electrical power and service to Indian land and homes. And that's just language from the Energy Policy Act, but as you can tell, it's a broad mandate for our office. Next slide, please. Just quickly, our team. I'm kind of in the back there, the tallest gentleman in the back row in the middle. But broadly, it's a wonderful team. I'm really happy to work for this office and this group of individuals. We consist of approximately 30 total staff. It's been growing pretty rapidly over the last couple of years. Roughly half of that staff is federal employees, and the other half is contractors. And as an aside, I'm in my second week as a federal employee for the office. I've worked for the office for quite a while, but recently was hired as a permanent federal employee. Of note, here in the front is our leadership. On that yellow chair is Wahala Johns, our director, and immediately to her left, the right on the screen, is the deputy director, David Conrad. And then Mike Stevenson, the head of our technical assistance office. I doubt you guys can see my cursor, but it's he's in the middle row on the right side, third from the end. He has a shaved head and a blazer on. Like I said, wonderful team. We're all very motivated to provide great customer service. So feel free to reach out to us, and I think you'll be pleased with our responsiveness and level of support. Next slide, please. So I'll just quickly delve into our deployment program broadly, and then talk most specifically about the subject of our presentation today, technical assistance. So our deployment program consists of 3 main prongs. Financial assistance is kind of our bread and butter, our primary, historically been our most significant investment, and that's because it's providing grant funding to tribes and tribal entities, and so most of our money goes out through that program. But we also do have these 2 other branches. One is technical assistance, and that's been growing significantly as there's a lot of federal money out there these days, and in order to position yourself to get some of it, it's often helpful to have some assistance to get you along the way. So our technical assistance program has been growing rapidly, and then education and capacity building is the third leg, and I guess today is kind of an example of that, providing presentations. We also have a monthly webinar or a semi-monthly webinar series that's excellent on timely tribal energy related topics. And then our website has a wealth of information as well, including recordings of past webinars and additional kind of curriculum that you can find on relevant tribal energy topics. So I'd encourage you to explore the website for those. Next slide, please. Quickly, I just want to touch on a current funding opportunity that our office has. You know, there's a ton of them out there these days, but I want to explicitly highlight ours just, well, because it's from our office. I'm not going to talk about it in much detail, but encourage you to look into it further. It's Clean Energy Technology Deployment on Tribal Lands 2024. It's very similar to recent other deployment funding opportunities from our office. So it's focused around providing funds for deployment of actual physical clean energy projects and assets. And so it's probably applicable to many of the projects you're considering or evaluating today related to community solar in your communities, tribes and pueblos. I can't kind of talk to specifics about it, but broadly it is has about $50 million in funding, and closes on May 30th of this year, and awards can be between $100,000 and $5 million depending on the specific topic area, and has a 20% cost share requirement, but that can potentially and probably likely be reduced based on median household income and poverty rates in the community. So if that's of interest, I encourage you to look for it. A simple Google search will pull it right up. Next slide, please. I quickly want to touch just more broadly on funding opportunities in general. I've got 3 websites up here that are links and screenshots of websites that are very valuable in my opinion. The first one is on our website. The top left there is current funding opportunities that we maintain on our Office of Indian Energy website. It's focused on funding opportunities that we think are applicable to our audience. So Office Indian Energy related funding opportunities, I'll just say. So kind of a self-selected group, but a great list of funding opportunities. Below that is the Clean Energy Infrastructure Program funding announcements. That's a webpage, a DOE webpage focused on all the funding announcements related to the $97 billion that is available through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act. Another good source of information. You'll likely have to do a little bit more, self-selection or screening of the opportunities there to find ones that are applicable. And then the last one is a resource that's been out there for a little while, but also excellent, and it's from the Interagency Working Group on Coal and Power Plant Communities. And once again, as you can see, it's got funding opportunities, but it also has some information on tax credits and not only federal funding opportunities, but state-based funding opportunities, and this funding clearinghouse that's available on the page. You can filter by entities and technologies and that sort of thing, and find applicable funding. So just some brief resources there to find funding. And I know there's other presentations today that'll probably go into more details on where to find good funding. Next slide, please. So with that, I'll delve into the focus, or the core of this presentation, and that's technical assistance. So as I mentioned earlier, our technical assistance office consists of 3 key staff, but we partner with many subject matter experts, and it's a no-cost program. So broadly, technical assistance is a kind of a buzzword these days. There's many programs and entities that are offering technical assistance. For us, technical assistance is an opportunity to fulfill a need related directly to project deployment. So if you have a project that you're trying to develop, and often it's at the very early stages of development, our technical assistance program can at no cost help you kind of clear some hurdles or get some answers that you need. Typically, our goal is to provide you with a specific deliverable or tangible project that helps answer a question or gets you to a kind of a no-go, no-go decision on your project. And we work with you to create a very specific scope of work that helps you with your effort. Next slide, please. So I'll go through a list of things that we do. We offer clean energy planning. We also offer energy efficiency assessments, resource assessments, clean energy project planning, and building code and utility formation support. I'll go into these all in greater detail on subsequent slides. Next slide, please. So clean energy planning, this is one of our most popular areas of assistance these days. Clean energy planning acts as the foundation for transitioning to a clean energy future. Support is designed to assist in understanding energy resources, identifying an energy vision, understanding energy options and priorities, and developing a viable roadmap for successful completion of projects that are identified. There's a reason this is one of our most popular services, and that is strategic energy plans, if done well and right, can be a cornerstone for tribes as they pursue clean energy deployment. For this to be the case, there needs to be significant tribal stakeholder participation in the process. This includes tribal leadership, of course, but there's a whole list of other energy stakeholders in the community that could be and should be involved, including potentially Indian Health Service, healthcare, representatives from school district, emergency services, housing authorities, wastewater and water utilities or programs. Really anyone with a large load in the community. It could be commercial loads, it could be gaming, etc. It's not it's specific to each community, right, who the stakeholders are. But for a strategic energy plan to be successful and to be able to last and survive administration changes, it needs to have fingerprints from the broad community, and that'll make that long-term energy vision hopefully more lasting and sustainable. So going into a strategic energy plan, you need to know that it's going to require significant time and commitment from a broad section of your community. But once we get through the strategic energy plan, it will be or likely should be, and I'd like to say will be, a valuable tool for your community and something to build off of, and is a great basis for pursuing specific projects and funding opportunities. Next slide, please. Energy efficiency assessments is another thing we do. So basically, we can do energy audits in individual buildings, or if it's a housing authority, for instance, has a bunch of similar buildings, we can kind of do representative audits of one or a few of the structures. It's a great starting point for energy efficiency upgrades and work. Next slide. Resource assessments. So we can provide resource assessments for a whole range of energy technologies and resources. Wind, solar, biomass, hydro, and geothermal are kind of the main ones. Depending on the technology, these are often desktop-based studies. wind resource assessment, for instance, often requires on-site monitoring, from a tall tower and at least a year, but likely more than 1 year of data collection. So that sort of level of resource assessment is not really what we will provide typically. It's more desktop-based analysis. Here's a link to our Tribal Energy Atlas, which has a lot of good information on the various renewable energy resources that are present across Indian country, and that's available on our website. You can Google Tribal Energy Atlas, and it should pop right up. Another thing we can do is clean energy project planning. That's next slide, please. Sorry. Clean energy project planning provides expert guidance and analysis to address specific barriers that you may face during a clean energy project development. Types of support offered include modeling and analysis, third-party reviews of technologies or business plans, technology options analysis, and economic evaluations of projects, as well as other project-specific assessments. We have a lot of communities that take advantage of recently of microgrid modeling, which we can provide through either REOPT or Homer as part of this offering. Qualify that a lot of these assessments, right, are early stage. Typically a project, particularly a larger project or a more complicated project, will need more detailed analysis than what our office can provide as the design of a project builds. Next step, please, or next slide, please. We also provide assistance with development of building codes or evaluating tribal utility formation opportunities. The slide here is a picture of a cover page of a recent tribal utility formation analysis provided by Margie Schaff, one of our subject matter experts that we contract with. She does wonderful work. And I'll qualify or mention this here. All the technical assistance that we provide and the work products we provide are not available to the public. We hold them confidential between ourselves, the recipient, and then whoever provides the technical assistance. So in examples that we have in our slide deck here, the community has agreed to allow us to share information, limited as it is, on our slides. So next slide. Well, you have it. Thank you. Just broadly, we collaborate. So if you come to us with a technical assistance request and it doesn't cleanly fit, or we can't make it fit within our parameters, we rarely turn anybody away and just say, sorry, we can't help you in any way. We have a deep network of other federal programs and other technical resources, and can often point tribes to somebody that can help them. Next slide. Just want to highlight here our primary partners. Like I mentioned earlier, we work with subject matter experts to help provide our assistance, and a lot of our assistance ends up funneling through these partners. At the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, we work with Liz Weber and her amazing team, and so we often or occasionally work with Sandia National Labs, and specifically Sandra Begay, who might well be there today. I guess I wish I was there in person, but I imagine she's in the audience. In Alaska, we work with partners such as the Denali Commission and the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. Next slide, please. What we don't do. So this is an important slide. We don't provide funding. So there's no money that flows from DOE to tribes. What we do is we sponsor the subject matter experts' time and any associated travel to complete their effort. So it's no cost to the tribe, our assistance, but we we don't send money direct to the tribe. We also don't provide legal advice, and that includes tax advice. So, you know, I would say that's often something that's wanted, and it's hard to. We carefully avoid providing that strict legal advice, but often we're able to provide, you know, guidance that doesn't fall into the category of legal advice. We also don't provide detailed engineering designs. So if a project is at the design phase and it's already kind of past feasibility phase, we probably aren't the best source of technical assistance. There's grant funding opportunities from BIA and others that can help hire someone to do detailed design work. But that's not us. We aren't able to fund actual stamped engineering designs. And then the last thing we don't do is we don't specifically prepare grant applications. So a lot of the work products that come out of our technical assistance do, you know, help support grant applications. But if you go to us and say, look, we're trying to find, or, you know, trying to apply for this funding opportunity, and here's what they need, that's our request. We won't be able to help you there. If you have, you know, more specific, detailed requests saying, look, we need to do a feasibility analysis, an economic feasibility analysis of, you know, this community solar project, that's something that we can, you know, pursue. Next slide. So requesting technical assistance. This is a screenshot from our webpage. Basically just Google Office of Indian Energy technical assistance, and this page will come up. And all you gotta do is click on this little black box in the lower right corner. Let's click here to request technical assistance. And when you do that, an email template pops up. It's got, you know, just a very limited number of questions on it: who you are, what tribe or entity you're requesting for, a little bit of details around the request, and then a bit of background on if you have related studies that would be relevant in a time frame for when you are hoping to get a deliverable from our office. And once you send that email, which literally should take you, you know, no more than 5 minutes to prepare probably, we'll receive it on our end, and that starts the ball rolling. We will then schedule a follow-on scoping call within, you know, no more than a couple weeks, hopefully sooner than that. And on that scoping call, we'll discuss your project in much more detail and dig into the details and try to develop a scope of work that's obviously helpful for your project and fits within our technical assistance parameters. And once we're done with that scoping call, we go out and find the subject matter expert and then get the ball rolling. So from the point you submit that technical assistance request to when the subject matter expert starts work, you know, ideally is in about a month. We're pretty busy these days, so sometimes it's taking longer than that currently, likely partly because there's only so many experts that we have access to in our network, and they're getting very busy. But it's not busy to the point that we can't provide what we still think is valuable and timely information. Next slide. This is just a map of our technical assistance. It's actually a little bit outdated, 18 months or so probably, but just kind of gives you a representation of a broad cross section of the country that we provide technical assistance in, and New Mexico and the Southwest, as you can see, has a significant portion of that assistance. Next slide, please. Just wanted to, as we approach the end here, touch on a case study. You know, we've got tons of case studies, and in this slide deck, I noticed a lot of our examples were from Alaska, and like our work products and the like. And this case study also is. I hoped to tailor it a little bit more, but didn't have the time to get permission for more directly applicable case studies. But just wanted to highlight one here because this case study, we did an initial solar assessment for Galena Village, specifically Loudon Tribe up in Alaska, for solar. A couple of years ago, we did that kind of resource assessment. Then they went out and worked with some industry partners and got a design together for a community solar project, and then came back to us with the design for a kind of a third-party independent review. And we provided feedback on their design, and then they submitted a grant application to our one of the Office of Indian Energy's deployment grants, and received funding, and now they have well, they're just starting, but they have a 1.5 megawatt solar project that's going to be deployed in their community, and our technical assistants helped get the ball rolling on that project. So it's just a good example of how pursuing our technical assistance can proceed to tangible projects over time. And with that, I'll bring up our last slide, which is just contact information for me and the office the office more generally. Please do reach out if you have questions or thoughts. I'll take questions now right after this presentation, but broadly, as I said earlier, if you reach out to our office, we pride ourselves on getting back to you promptly and with good information. So please don't let hesitancy to reach out stop you. So with that, thank you for your time, and I hope there's a way for me to take field questions if there are any.